Truths and stories gotta collide. Alibis get swept aside. I got proof that can't be denied. The data don't lie, people do. Waves crashing, secrets in the tide. Facts and numbers side by side. Through the chaos I will abide. The data don't lie, people do. Look at the records, feel the vibe. Digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do. Friends may twist and tongues may tie. Plausible tales shape the sky. In the end you can verify. The data don't lie, people do. It's in the matrix beyond the eye. Hard truth that's flying by. Evidence you can't defy. The data don't lie, people do. Look at the records, feel the vibe. Digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do. The vibe, digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do. Friends may twist and tongues may tie. Plausible tales shape the sky. In the end you can verify. The data don't lie, people do. Friends may twist and tongues may tie. Plausible tales shape the sky. In the end you can verify. The data don't lie, people do.
Just the boat. 1, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4.
We don't need the long version, do we? I finished that a little early. It goes on for a bit longer. Bit of guitar music, bit of a bridge. All right. Y'all can hear me, right? Oi, come on, babe. Beckaboo, Boda Bob. Michelle. Who else have we got here? Tracy, hello. Paralegal, hello. I think I got yous all. How are we all? Thanks, Becca. Hey, Snacks from Scotland. All right. Wee woo. Where am I? Let's get some notes together. God, where do we start? Because I have missed so many days of live stream. So I had it booked yesterday. If you are disappointed about yesterday, I apologize. I had so much to do, and I could only do it through business hours here, which took up all the time I was going to be on a live stream with you. Hello, Swiss Miss. Thanks for joining us. The Goodmans are here. Prince, lovely. How are you? The expert made up his degree, liar. Indeed he did. Indeed he did. Hi, Toy. Day 20, it ends with excellent scoring. Defense 20, Commonwealth 0. Winning. Thank you for joining us. Denny Bacon, hello from Michigan. Thanks for joining us. Donna, hello. Colin's with us as well. Whoops, I missed you, Colin. How's it going? Who else have I missed here? Wow. I'm sure I've missed someone. Gotcha's all, maybe not. If I did miss you, Smartahari. I can't see you, but I got something going on here. I got shit going on over here. All right, how about this for a treat today? How about that? Let's have that for a treat today. You can all see yourselves chatting today. I generally turn the chat off for replays so people can't come after you. After replays, you know, they take screenshots and do horrible shit. So Nadja, hello for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Sorry. Gerda. Smartahari, there you are. Now I can see you. All right. Oh, that's good news, Tracy. Good news. Good news. I hope it all goes smooth. How is hubby, Prince Lover? Is he pulled up all right? I imagine still a bit bruised, but pulled up all right. Mark, thank you for joining us. All right, let's get some notes. Let's get some notes happening. What is going on, guys? All right. Back to the scroll. Holy shit. Scroll. I got a lot of notes. Jesus. Is anybody freaking sick of Lally asking dumb questions like, what is DNA? Please tell the jury what a microscope is. Like, holy crap. Killing time? I don't get it. He's not really helping. He's just killing time, right? So anyway, I had a couple of jokes racked up for Lally killing time asking dumb questions. But anyway, we'll skip past the dumb jokes. So the hair. Let's go to the hair. The heir apparent. So they wasted all that time on the hair and they got nothing. The thing that's frustrating about the hair is that it had a root on it. It's the most likely place that we're going to get DNA from. Right? Hello from the crazy state of Mass. Thanks for joining us, Ange. Micah, good to see you, buddy. Where are you? Okay, things are starting to move a bit quicker in chat. Hi, Micah. Beta Bob, I was surprised to see how long the witnesses were on the stand today. Yes, indeed, because they had nothing to offer, right? Yet they were there, like, forever and ever and ever. Very frustrating. So, yeah, the hair apparent. All that frigging around with the hair doctor to find out that the hair doctor couldn't actually narrow it down to John O'Keefe's hair. Interesting. So I have to wonder, what hair did they give to the defense? Because the defense had a hair tested. We don't know if it was the same hair, but they did have a hair tested and it wasn't even human. So sounds like they ran the defense round in circles. I have no reason to believe that the defense is fibbing, that they got a hair and it wasn't human. And every reason to believe they gave the defense something that wasn't a human hair. Yet somehow we have a human hair in the hair analysis with a root on it. The lack of DNA on the hair is very suspicious indeed, Beta Bob, because the root of a hair is the most likely place you're going to find DNA. So Hank was running out the clock. His direct was over. Right, Colin. So many things. Jesus. So, why would Proctor and Tully's DNA be relevant? They're not suspects. They're not victims. They're handlers, which means that they're testing for contamination. What does testing for contamination mean? Oh, shit, we contaminated the evidence, perhaps? The brain was squishy. The brain was squishy. Did you just catch that? Hey, Aqua E. Did you all catch that, though, that the doctor said, we squished our fingers into the brain and it was squishy? I'm not sure that's what he said exactly, but interesting. Oh my God, Prince Lover, there's so much in evidence that shouldn't be in evidence. What about the 23 pieces of plastic that didn't match anything? Why is that in evidence? And a freaking Tupperware lid. Why is any of that in evidence? The judge should be ruling this shit out. She's not doing her job. She's going, yeah, bring it all in. What's the purpose of it, though? All it does is confuse the jury, right? It gives the lab tech 23 extra pieces to sit there and go over for half the day. Waste brain space. It's not related to anything in evidence. Why is it even in evidence? Right? She shouldn't be allowing all this crap to be in evidence. There was 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there was 10 pieces of glass, somewhere between 8 and 10 pieces of glass that should never have been in evidence because it didn't match anything. They're just wasting brain space for the jury. That's what they're doing. So they think if they just volumize this, the more they put in front of the jury, the more that's going to be talked about. They're just overwhelming the jury. That's why they're doing it. It's a load of bullshit. Anyway, so the fact that they were testing for contamination, not attribution, but contamination, means that they're more or less saying, yeah, we contaminated the evidence. So they didn't test the hair. They didn't test the hair for a match to John. They only did a mitochondrial test. And the mitochondrial test only tells you maternal linkage. It doesn't tell you that it's John's hair. So why are they doing that? They're muddying the water. Exactly, Bob. You think they're rethinking Welcher testimony? No, I don't think they're rethinking Welcher. I think that the Commonwealth's dumb enough to believe that Welcher can revive Burgess. It's done purposely, Tater Pie. Exactly. Whoops, sorry. I was trying to turn that one off. Accidentally turned that one on. So moving on. Talking about the short tandem repeat test. The standard method in forensic DNA testing compares repeating sequences at 20 plus loci to match individuals. They'll use this to claim, or they did use this to claim, how powerful the DNA is. But it means nothing unless the sample was not contaminated. They talked about the star mix, the alleles. If they say, we detected alleles at X loci, the follow-up should be, did you reach the threshold to call a match? And the answer is often no, because you're talking about mitochondrial match, not actual DNA matches. So it's interesting. There was enough. They're just saying there wasn't. They're just using that as an excuse. We're talking about the root of a hair. There is definitely enough DNA in the root of a hair to match it to John. There is. They were not asked to do that. So obviously they were asked to make an excuse. Lally only objected this afternoon because they want to keep the jury confused. Exactly. He gets a sentence out and it's objection, sidebar, another sentence, objection, sidebar. They just want to keep the jury confused. Anyway, Starmix is a selection of candies. It is here too. It is here too. Interesting, right? So, basically, that whole hair thing was just jargon overload plus software driven ambiguity, and it didn't give us anything. It gave us nothing. It gave us a mitochondrial match, which was not what you could get from a hair root. In fact, you can get pretty good strong match from a hair root. That's right, Boda Bob. They're hoping the jury doesn't understand. Indeed. Indeed. So let's get on to the rest of my notes. What are we looking at? The tail light DNA. They swabbed the outside of the housing and it matches John and 2 other contributors. The outside, not the inside where his skin and flesh was supposed to be. The outside. What sort of lab tech gets told this taillight slash somebody's arm into this many pieces and you're going to swab the outside? There's some pretty obvious instructions going to the lab techs. Don't swab the inside. There's not going to be anything there. Just swab the outside. I don't think Lally knows what's going on. He's butthurt about not being in the first seat. He clearly doesn't like Hanky. I don't know if he doesn't like Hanky, but he's certainly butthurt, I would say. Right. Let's move on. What else have we got here? We've got, yes, John's DNA is on something. Woohoo! The car that's parked in his garage and his own clothes. But there's all these other unknown contributors. You can say, well, they're all separate contributors, or they all might be the same contributors. But in all, they came up with 11 different contributors. Some of those might be the same contributors, some of them may not. But who are all of those? If you come up with that many different contributors, do you test them all? I don't know what you do in that situation because I'm not a lab tech. So what do you do when you've got a possible 11 different contributors? You might match them to each other and narrow it down. Are some of these contributors the same contributors? Then you might end up with 3 or 4 contributors, possibly. So that's right, Colin. It meant nothing. It meant nothing because the Lexus gets stuck in his garage at night. So Aqua AJ did a bloody brilliant job of clearing up the numbers with the glass. It drove me crazy last year too. I was going to do a little comparison with last year's testimony from the same lab tech. I was waiting for her to come up with something different because it sounded like when Lally was crossing her, it sounded like she changed her testimony to one of the glass pieces on the bumper fitted or matched the drinking glass. But when AJ went back over it with her, that's not what she said. So it was just the way that Lally asked the question, the way she answered it. I was like, wait a second, that's not what she said last year. No. They test what they're told to test. Bingo, Colin. Bingaroony. That's what I'm saying. They were not told to test everything, whatever you think of. Here's the pictures of the injuries. Find some taillight shards with some skin on it. Match the unknown to the unknown to see if it's the same. That makes sense, right, Mark? And then you would come down, then you would narrow down the unknowns to a smaller subset of people that the DNA's match, right? And then you can say, well, we can rule out Tully, although I wouldn't. Rule out Proctor, I wouldn't. Because what's Proctor's DNA doing on the inside of the tail light pieces, right? Anyway, I feel like what they were doing is admitting that they contaminated stuff by submitting other people's DNA. I don't know, but you definitely don't compare the unknown contributors to the people inside the house, do you? Of course not. Of course you don't. All right, so moving on through the notes. One of the things the lab tech said about the blood was that Proctor and Tully could not be visually excluded. So looking at the visual matches, they couldn't exclude them. And then in the very next breath, he said there was strong support for exclusion. So what happened between the two statements? In one statement, you're saying they could not visually be excluded, but now all of a sudden you've got strong support for exclusion. What did you do between the two? Like, that didn't make any sense at all. Hi, Nikki. Hello to anyone I haven't said hello to in the chat. We've got a few in here now that I could have probably missed a few of yous, but hopefully we all feel included, even though I've missed some of yous. Yeah, so where are we? So what does it actually mean when they say, well, visually, we couldn't exclude them, but then we excluded them? Basically, it's kind of like saying, I'm not pregnant. I'm late and I'm nauseous, but I'm not pregnant. There's strong support for exclusion, but not conclusive, I guess, is what they're saying. I don't know. And I didn't feel like the defense cleared that up for me, so that was weird. So moving on. Moving on from the hair. I did a lot of notes on the hair. I had 100 billion notes on the hair. Oh, yes. Yes, what about that? Let me see if I can find that. This is just something that came up. Downloads. Let me see if I still got it here to put it on the screen. Is that it? Nope. Nope. I'm sure I didn't delete it. That's the new order. That's the police report. That's the, I think that's it there, actually. Yeah, share that screen. I got it. Let's go back over here and share this, because I found this interesting. If you're on X, I've already pointed this out, but this is the text exchange between the group when Kerry was being questioned. Kerry is here going over the timeline, and we handed the phone to Kerry. She's telling them everything, all the stuff. Matt says, very weird, and so on. So Matt, Brian, and Jen are all using their phones to type into this group chat. So what phone did they hand to Kerry? It wasn't Jen's phone, because she's in the chat typing this shit with her phone. It wasn't Matt's phone because he's done a reply. It wasn't Brian's phone. So whose phone did we hand to Kerry? Which I found really weird. We handed the phone to Kerry. It's like she's telling the group We handed the phone to Kerry, that, as in John's phone, because it's the only one not in this chat right now, right? Which phone? John's phone? We handed the phone to Kerry? Could be the house phone. There's a possibility, because it certainly wasn't any of their mobile phones. They're all in the chat here talking, right? It could have been a landline. But from what I understand, this conversation was in person, where she's telling them everything. The cops came to the house and Jen was there. And this was an in-person discussion. So what phone are they talking about? I feel like there might have been a bit of self-dobbing here. We handed the phone to Kerry. So I found that suspicious. I don't know what it means for mankind, but it's just the next thing in my notes. So Jen's typing on her phone. They're all involved in the conversation, so it's none of their phones. That particular interview, I understand, was an in-person interview. So why are they talking about handing a phone to Kerry? Moving on in my notes, this Burgess character. All right. There was a couple of things Burgess sort of stated which were not entirely true, but one of the main things I want to point out about the Burgess testimony, besides the fact that he lied about his CV, is that all his data, he's a DFIR dude, okay? He hangs out in the DFIR group with Whiffen and Hyde. He says on his resume he's got DFIR courses under his belt, let's say. So he's a DFIR dude. What's the one thing that we've noted they haven't? None of them did. They're all stating this data is like, this data is what we were given, but none of them have verified it. None of them. It's the first rule of forensic examination. Verify the data before you study it, right? That is, they get the plist file and the key that unlocks it, called the hash value. And that tells you, if you can unlock with that plist file and that hash value, the zip file, that tells you that it's all completely, it's completely original data from that extraction. Without those things, without the plist file and the hash value, you can't verify the data. You can't say that this data I analyzed on John's phone or anyone's phone, if you haven't verified it, is the actual data. Runkle laughed his ass off. Good. We all did. We all thought it was hilarious. Good day, Alan Jackson's pregnant pause. You're having a productive day landscaping. Woohoo. Anyway, so it doesn't matter what he studied, right? He could have studied all the spreadsheets, but none of it was verified. So no verification of anything anywhere. Not Whiffen, not Hyde, not Burgess. I'm trying to think of names. And not, I'm going to hazard a guess, not Welcher either. Hi, Davy Cakes. Thanks for joining us. Jen was talking on the phone to Proctor, then handed Kerry phone to set up in-person interview. Originally Jen was talking on the phone to Proctor, but what phone? What phone was she talking to Proctor with? Because all their phones were in the chat, in the group chat. Was she talking on her own phone? And if she was talking on her own phone, why are they handing her own phone to her? Do you get the confusion here? It seems like weird shit. Weird shit. So, and yes, there's no verification for anything, Nikki. It's weird anywhere. So this goes to pretty much all of the data. If you cannot verify the data that you're looking at, then how can you be sure that your time shift drift, whatever you're calling it, is actually true. And here's the other thing. He used 7 other devices to work out the time drift on the Lexus. And that's not how you do it. That's not how it is done forensically. He says forensically this is how you do it. Well, obviously Alessi dragged that out of him kicking and screaming. This is not how forensic scientists do it, is it, dude? He eventually admitted that he wasn't doing the forensically sound approach. He just made up his own, and we're supposed to believe that. So, John O'Keefe's phone is another item with no chain of custody or ownership. Right. Should not have been allowed in evidence. Correct. I don't even think it's weak. I'm saying it's no chain of custody, full stop. This is how it's done in court. You have to have that verification. So, something else that I thought was hilarious about Burgess is that he sat there and criticized the Gaffney for ruining the motherboard for the chip off, and he couldn't actually point to any damage to the motherboard. All he showed us was melted solder, or you guys call it solder. That's all he showed us was melted solder. He didn't show us any damage. He said, look, one of those chips is a little crooked. Well, that can happen in the manufacturing process. That doesn't mean that anything was ruined. But here's the thing. He tried to put all the chips back on the board, and all he got was some lights in the dashboard, and that's it. So, did he even know what he was doing? What's his experience with chip on and chip off? I didn't hear him say any experience with chip on and chip off. I know Gaffney had experience with it. Something that Hanky elicited from him was that apparently it was Gaffney who was in charge of the chip on and the chip off. And that's not true. In trial 1.0, we heard that Trooper Paul was in charge of the chip on, chip off, and he didn't know how to do it. He was standing there with his thumbs in the air going, And Gaffney said, would you like me to do it? And he went, yes, okay, you do it. So, yeah, that was a lie that Hank got Burgess to admit to. So, interesting there. The fact that Hank hasn't even watched the first trial yet is pretty obvious because he keeps making these stupid blunders. But anyway, so the only timestamp that he said he found was in the SD card, and Gaffney didn't do a chip off for the SD card because it's a fucking SD card. You just eject it. You don't have to chip off an SD card. Like, hello. You just eject it out of its little casing. So he was criticizing Gaffney for not chip offing the SD card, which is in its own little pocket that you just eject it from anyway. So what else do we have here? There was a lot of stuff like something he said, which I'm expecting to come up with Welcher. I think they actually did find some timestamps in the data that Trooper Paul ripped the timestamps off of. I think they're actually going to reintroduce some of those timestamps when Welcher comes up. Yeah, chopping off. That's right, Buffet Zone, the chipping off. So yeah, interesting that he mentions a couple of timestamps in some data that doesn't come from the infotainment system or the telematics. It comes from the CAN bus system. That's what it sounded like to me. So we need to see what Welcher says, what data Welcher shows us, because if he shows us a single fucking timestamp from that telematics, from that CAN bus system, then that just completely screws up all the data they've showed us from that CAN bus system. Trooper Paul's data, the key cycles, everything, because we knew it had timestamps and we knew they removed them in trial 1.0. So let's see how Hanky gets around not creating a great big fat Brady violation with Welcher's testimony, because I feel like Brennan's already dumped him. Burgess already dumped Welcher in it and said that there's going to be a timestamp that came from the CAN bus. So there's that. Her initial impressions data was missed from the initial download. The bits and bytes bit him on the ass, didn't they? And he had to admit that he screwed that up. That he misread a big B for a little b, a big M for a little m. Yeah, he had to eat that one fully, right? He should be embarrassed, exactly. He should be embarrassed, indeed. Mark, spelling bad. What did you misspell? No, I missed it, sorry. So your spelling can be bad because I missed it. Oh, SB took down his LinkedIn. So you're talking LinkedIn. I know what you meant. Sorry. Let's play a little bit of music. I got a tune for you. Kevy, hit me with the link. I need to make a coffee. I ran in straight away to set up this stream and forgot to brew myself a coffee, and my throat's saying we need coffee bad. We need them to coffee. So what we shall do is we shall play a tune that Kevin made and Michelle and her grandchild created the visuals for. Let's do that while I quickly whip up a coffee so I can talk straight. Oh my God. Replace that with this Kevy tune. All right, everybody. I am going to mute and go make a coffee. Hopefully this tune lasts as long as it takes to make a coffee.
Her name rings through the air like thunder. Chains of injustice hold her under. A story spun with tangled lies. Eyes of truth won't compromise. They want a cage like a bird in sorrow, but we won't wait for another tomorrow. Freedom calls through the voice of pain in every tear that falls like rain. Free Karen Reid, the truth must rise. Tear down these walls, expose the lies. Unite our voices, break the chains. Let justice shine through the pouring rain. Corruption's tide tries to drown her soul, but we stand strong. Hearts make us whole. The cracks are showing, the truth will gleam. Freedom's flame lights up the dream. Hold your head high and we'll march as one. Under each moon, under every sun. Their whispers crumble, screams break through. Karen Reid, we fight for you. Free Karen Reid. truth must rise. Tear down these walls, expose the lies. Unite our voices, break the chains. Let justice shine through the pouring rain. Free Karen Reed, the truth must rise. Tear down these walls, expose the lies. Unite our voices, break the chains. Let justice shine through the pouring rain. Free Karen Reed, the truth must rise. Tear down these walls, expose the lies. Their whispers crumble, screams break through. Karen Reed, we fight for you. Free Karen Reed, the truth must rise. Tear down these walls, expose the lies. Their whispers crumble, screams break through. Karen Reed, we fight for you. Karen Reed, we stand for you. Karen Reed, we stand with you.
There you go, guys. Those lyrics were written by none other than Supermod Kevy. So, very cool. Now, it wasn't long enough to make my coffee. Only just got the kettle boiled. In that time, Ozzy, you're still going. Didn't you just leave Tom and Mike? I did. I wasn't live with Tom and Mike. I was for a little earlier on in the day, but I was just modding. All right, so let's do one more song so I can finish this coffee making thing. Another one from Kevy, and I'm pretty sure he wrote the lyrics for this one too.
They whispered lies to pin her down, wore the badges like a crown, but truth don't hide behind their schemes. Her fight ignites, it burns your beams. They forged the chain, she broke the lock. Behind the curtain, shadows mock. The gavel falls, but it's her stage. Her innocence ignites the rage. Justice sings the soulful cry. The fight for truth won't ever die. Through corruption's darkest stain, she'll rise again. She'll break the chain. She'll break the chain. They tried to bind her with deceit, but Karen's steps will never retreat. The jury's roar, the verdicts say, her name reclaimed, the clouds give way. No more whispers, no more blame. They can't erase her honest name. Her fight floods the street. Their corruption tastes defeat. Justice sings the soulful cry. The fight for truth won't ever die. Through corruption
Oops, muted. Come on up, Arcane. We have been hanging to talk to you. No worries, Kevy. Those were two of Kevy's tunes. You can join sub to his channel because he's going to make a few, and we're going to have a bit of fun with his music as well as the music that I've made. All right, come on up, Arcane. Hey, I got some really good news too. I don't know if it's going to happen today, but we got to get Lon Solo back up here because he did an experiment. Like, oh my God, experiment. He got a, hang on, let me get Arcane up on the stage. Hello, how are you?
Good, Ozzy. How you going?
Good. This is a long time coming.
Yeah. Trying to make it on for a while now.
Yeah, it's not easy with the bloody time zones, is it?
No. Trying to stay up late for the trial and everything, and then by the time you start streaming, I'm wanting to go to bed.
Right. So I was just saying, Arcane. Oh no, I got my names mixed up. Lon Solo did an experiment with a pig's head to see if he could cause the same damage on a pig's head with the butt of a Glock, and they couldn't get it. But what they got was some kind of similar mark with a 6 hour, basically.
Okay.
So, but not. He's going to send me photos, but not the same markings on John's head. So his experiment, him and his mates all, like I said, got a pig's head and smashed it with their guns, and came to the conclusion that they couldn't produce the same markings as John's head. So that's interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I assume, I think a pig's skull is a bit thicker, right? I could be wrong.
A little denser, it could be.
Yeah. But that's an interesting technique.
I know I have seen a couple of pig skulls because, like, back when I was younger, we grew up out bush and we used to knock a few pigs down for dog food and stuff.
Yeah.
And we would put the head on a ant mound to clean it all out. And I'm probably getting really grossy. Sorry if I'm grossing anyone out. But yeah, I've seen a few of those in my time. So where's your theory sitting right now? So for those who don't know, Arcane is an EMT here in Australia.
Yeah, I used to be a medic for the Australian Army, and then I got into working with the SES, got into the Coast Guard, volunteer Coast Guard here.
Yep.
So I've done a lot of accident work with the SES, and I've seen a lot of different injuries over the years in the Army, as you could imagine.
So SES, for those who don't know, is a state emergency services.
Yeah, correct.
So that's who helps the AMBOs, basically, especially in emergency situations. But
yeah, especially like out here, for example, one of the big things we do at the moment is suicides and stuff like that. We attend. The police can't really touch it. The ambulance don't really come. So the SES really deals with it and disassembling certain situations.
Right. They actually started digging my car out from under those two trees, and then the army came and finished it.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of that too.
Right. So I have a question from an audience member already. Just please ask Arcane what the green whistle is and what's in it.
I can't remember exactly what's in the green whistle. I know it's some type of morphine.
Same morphine.
Yeah, it's a joy for most people. I haven't used it, but it's a joy for most people.
No, Boda Bob, I didn't poke the pig's brains with my finger. Did you hear the doctor say that today? I was like,
no, I missed a lot of the trial today.
He actually said that you know, when we're operating on brains, we sometimes accidentally poke our fingers in them and they're squishy. Something along those lines.
I could only imagine. Like, was John's mum in there?
I think she wasn't actually.
Yeah,
I think she I think she skips out when they get to the gory details of things like this. So yeah,
I don't blame her.
I don't either. So yeah, what do you think of I don't know, there's a lot of people here who are not on X, so they might not have seen my diagram, but what do you think of the diagram? I think you said it's kind of fits with what you were thinking, right?
Everything that I've been seeing since the first trial, and even now, like they haven't shown anything else to prove otherwise. I genuinely think a fight happened in the house. He's been knocked back, hitting his head. And I mean, this wouldn't be the first group of blokes, Irish blokes especially, that have had some drinks, had a fight, and then just gone, fucking throw him out, whatever, what a dickhead. And then he's died on the front lawn. I don't even think they realized he was going to die on the front lawn. Who knows? But it definitely looks like a fight has taken place.
Right.
I would easily put my money on a fight and the dog.
Right. So I'll just pop the diagram up so people can see what diagram I'm talking about. We are talking about. Hang on. I need to go to the screen share side. Share screen.
By the way, have you seen a photo of Alessi flexing on X?
Oh my God, I did. I was
Is that
like,
man really 67 years old?
right, I had to check his age before I did the whole, drill thing. There's no good
Jesus
drilling
Christ.
over people that are not in my age group.
He looks great.
He does look great. I'll show the crew that shortly. A lot of people in my chat don't go on X, so
Okay.
I do show what's going on X on here, so people that don't go on X can see it. But anyway, so in the first image here is obviously before after the fight breaks out. The dog's gonna jump in because the fight broke out, right? That's pretty much how dogs behave, isn't it? Like mine does.
Especially a German Shepherd, right?
It's especially a German Shepherd. So mine is a German Shepherd cross. It's not even mine. It's my landlord's, but same. As soon as they're yelling, the dog's like in there barking. And if there's any hand movement going, the dog's like following everything that's going on. I also had a Rottweiler who attacked someone through the door just because they raised their voice at me. So
yeah. Well, yeah.
there was no fight and there was a screen door between us, but the dog almost took the door off its hinges.
Yeah.
Just because someone was yelling at me. So
I mean, I've seen dogs run through a window to go chase someone.
right, just because they're protecting you, right? That's what dogs do.
Yeah.
Right. So so before the image before this would be two people beating him, first of all, around the head. And then we have the dog jumps in, and you only need, an Alsatian, a German Shepherd is going to be between 65 to 90 pounds, basically. So if we just pick a spot in the middle and call it 75 pounds, what the hell did I just do? Press the wrong button. If we just called it 75 pounds, so for the Aussies in the house, that's 5 kilos. That's actually heavier than me. It's a little bit lighter than me. I'm 39 kilos. So
I was going to say, that's pretty skinny.
well, I'm actually really short, so it's not real skinny. It's actually just that I'm very short. But anyway, back to the point. A German Shepherd or an Alsatian, any of those types of dogs, they are actually around my body weight. And I'm pretty sure our dog is already at my body weight, but he's a crossbreed. But anyway, if they're coming at you at 27 feet per second and they collide with you, they're going to knock you off your feet quick smart. And you're going to have some velocity as well, right?
Yeah, in the army, we used to call them a firm missile.
A firm missile. Well, that's a good name for it. I like it.
They'd grab your arm and they'd pull people down all the time.
So you guys trained them in the army too, don't you?
I didn't specifically, but yeah, they get trained in the army. Yeah.
Yeah. So same as police, we train dogs in the police, and we train them for army. My parents, our family, way back, were breeding German Shepherds for the police to train.
Yep.
We had, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 generations that went into the police in Hughenden up in Queensland. So I'm kind of familiar with that side of it. I was only a kid at the time, so we didn't do any of the training, but I just remember a couple of our dogs ended up being police dogs. But so so when he fell back on that part of the arm, it would have scraped upwards and left that, what Alessi pointed out was the J scrape, the upward scrape, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to see if I've got a picture of that so we can put that up on the screen as well.
See, initially my thought went to like, okay, I thought like a bench press would be set up like that. The bell bar would be there with the weights. I assumed he would have fell back and hit one of the weight plates or something like that, or even a pair of dumbbells on the floor.
Right.
This is pretty much depicting the same thing.
Yeah, and there's even a picture here which I'll show you. Well, we can go to that next, but I'm going to show the head wound. I'm going to show you the stains on the floor, and basically he's hit his head as he's fallen downwards. That scraped upwards on his scalp. So now we've got the scrape, the blood down the back of his shirt that we've all seen in court, and then we've got the front facial injuries and the vomit down the front of his clothes.
Yeah,
and just to verify all that could have happened, here's the arm.
Yeah.
You see how their weights are back further from this one? That's why I think he would have hit that first.
Yeah.
And he'd been tripping while he would have been already on his way over when he hit that.
I mean, there's so many things on that equipment he could have hit.
Right. Or one of those even, but look where their stain is.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know what that's indicative of, but I know what they did do is they pulled all this flooring out and put carpet in there before they sold it. They also ripped up the concrete.
I mean, that's suspicious in itself. I mean, most of the investigation sort of leads you towards the theories that we have. You know, it's it's so bad.
So exactly. So now let me just put the head injury back on the screen, because being the medic, you're probably going to want to talk about that. So let's get that up on the screen. There we go. There you go. Tell us what you see.
I mean, it could be so many things. I mean, the first thing I think is he's fallen backwards and hit his head. On what? I'm probably not qualified to say. But it doesn't
Clearly
look like
it has scraped upwards. Whatever it was, it scraped upwards. You can see the it was that way, right?
I mean, it almost kind of looks like drag marks as well. It's hard to say, but it's definitely not a punch to the back of the head. That's ridiculous for a punch to the back of the head. He's hitting something really, really hard. Usually I wouldn't find that sort of lateral mark or linear mark if someone's fallen straight backwards.
And that's a good thing to talk about. What do they look like when someone has fallen straight backwards?
It's more circular that I found. Like I wouldn't know the exact medical term, but it doesn't look
splat. It would be more of a splat than a cut.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah.
But Cornpost, that's a depressed skull fracture, is it? Is that what it looks like to you?
I'd have to see X-rays really to know if it's a depressed skull fracture. To me, it just looks like I'd just call it a critical head injury. But he's already dead. So, I mean, I don't really deal with people after they're dead.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I'm not experienced in. I was all sort of trained just to sort of deal with the people as what we'd call it like a golden hour to sort of get them back, and people more qualified could deal with people.
Yep. So, are there any particular images or whatever that you would like me to pull up so that you can discuss them?
I mean, anything that you want, really.
Well, I'm not the AMBO here.
Yeah.
Let me see what else. I've got all of them. So if there's one that comes to mind, just say so and I can pull it up for you.
I think the biggest one to focus on is the hardest one to focus on, and that's the actual face injuries.
All right, that's the one I get friggin' hammered for by YouTube, but we'll do it. We'll do it. It's worth it.
No, like I don't want to.
It's all
I don't
right.
want to damage your channel.
All that happens is they knock off the advertising and shit. So let me grab it for you.
Because that to me just it indicates a fight. There's nothing there that indicates to me that he was hit by a car. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. I've seen people hit by a car,
and I've seen people punched up.
Even a big thing as well is while this trial is even going on, it was about a month ago. My next door neighbor, he got run over by a car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the car was going about 40 k's. I think it was 40 to 50 k's. That's what the cops determined. But I heard him actually get hit. I heard arguing at the front of my house, and then I heard I thought it was a car door slam, and then I heard a crash, and I went out there running out to figure out what was going on. I brought like my medikit and stuff like that, IFAC, and I get out there and I realized it was my neighbor that's gotten run over. He got knocked ages away. He was knocked unconscious. The car was written off.
But he lived.
Yeah, he lived. He's okay now. He had a broken leg, broken foot, fractured neck, fractured vertebrae. He had pretty severe head injury, but he just had mostly it looked like he had drag marks. Like losing my train of thought right now. I'm going blank.
So we've got a question for you. Just to get back on track. Arcane, how noisy do you think that amount of first responders would have been?
I love thinking about this. It'd be noisy. Like the vehicles are going to be noisy, and especially when you're a first responder, or you work with the paramedics or the police, you're going to hear that more than regular people because it's in your head, like to act.
Right.
And for example, like I said, when I heard this going on at the front of my place, my first reaction as being a first responder is go out there and see who needs help. Brian Albert didn't come out of his house.
Right,
That's
exactly.
crazy. That's crazy to me.
So when my landlord was beat up out here in the garage, we got like a separate shed to the house because we live on a property, so it's your usual 4-bay open shed sort of thing.
Yeah.
Hard to explain to Americans who are used to a enclosed garage, but it's just a 4-bay open bay shed that you have on a farm, basically.
Yeah.
So we can get the farm machinery in it. Anyway, he pulled in between the paddock basher and another car, and then these people come in the driveway, screamed in the driveway, parked in the driveway, ran out, cornered him in the shed, and beat the living crap out of him. I heard it all going on, and I was like, I could hear the yelling from inside, but I don't have any windows open to that side.
Yeah.
I had the curtains drawn anyway, but I could hear the yelling, and I was like, holy crap, what's going on out there? So why wouldn't you go out there? I did.
Yeah.
I didn't run into the middle of it because it looked like people beating on people. I wasn't even sure who was who.
Well, with my neighbor, like me and my partner were the first ones to get out there, and I told her to call 000, everything like that. So it was lucky I was there. And the guy ran him over on purpose as well, and then he was sort of standing over him, and it wasn't until I got there that he backed away from him. So who knows what could have happened after that. And he's in jail at the moment waiting for his court case, and I have to go there as a witness and everything like that. But yeah, he had heaps of road rash on him, big lump on his head. He was knocked unconscious for about 15 minutes.
Wow.
And yeah, from what I've seen, I'm like, this is essentially what the Commonwealth is saying happened to John. And I'm like, the injuries are so different, broken bones everywhere, no black eyes,
Right. And he was thrown a fair distance, and
he was thrown like I think it was like 10 meters.
And his head hit the ground, like
definitely, yeah. He didn't even know what happened either.
Bitumen, like the hardest ground you get, bitumen.
It was just on dirt because I live out on the farm as well, so he landed on just dirt and sticks.
And he did it on purpose. That's freaking nuts.
Well, these guys, I think, are into illegal substances. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, there's your demo picture. Go for
Yeah.
it.
Now, I've heard some people explain that they think this could have been caused by him just hitting the back of his head, but I think other examiners have explained that's just not going to happen. That just the swollen eyes, the amount of the swollen eye on his left eye, the top one that we're looking at now.
Yep.
It looks like a fist fight to me.
Yep.
Also, I'm looking at it now because I haven't seen this since Karen said she pulled the glass out of his nose. I don't seem to see where she's done that.
It might be on the other side. It's not
Yeah.
really showing, but I think there is blood on that side of his face,
Yeah.
just over there.
I mean, I wish there was like a clearer picture front on.
Yeah, we
made
don't
this really
have a
hard.
lot. We don't have a lot, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
These ones were distributed by before everything got locked down and we weren't allowed to look at anything anymore. So these are not screenshots from the streamed footage from court. These are actually the actual photos that were originally sent around. I don't know who did it.
Now, I could have this wrong, but isn't the Commonwealth alleging that he was essentially hit front on? Basically, the rear of her car hit him in the face? Or are they still saying it's the arm?
They're alleging that it hit the arm.
Okay, I couldn't really tell in this trial. I knew in the first one they were going with the arm.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're putting a lot of focus on the tail light and the arm. So I don't know. They haven't actually told jury what their theory is, have they? Jury's still saying, how the fuck did he die?
I mean, I thought this was a trial on Jen McCabe, to be honest. They're defending Jen McCabe so hard.
Right. Did you watch the first trial at all?
Yeah.
Because that was the McAlberts definitely didn't do it trial.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what they're sort of doing again. That's...
Yeah. All right. So I have seen these puffy eyes because I used to be married to a drinker who would get into fights.
Yeah.
So I've seen those. Those are not raccoon eyes.
No, usually raccoon eyes will come down a lot lower.
Yeah, let me show you another picture of raccoon eyes just to give the audience the
I wonder what kind of injuries he might have had to his eyeballs.
Yep, I'm thinking the same thing because
my first reaction if I seen him like this would be to open his eyes with a torch and try to check
have a look what damage is on to the actual eyeball itself.
There you go. That's raccoon eyes.
That's raccoon eyes.
Yeah. Is that meatloaf?
Sorry?
Is that meatloaf?
No, meatloaf. No, that's just it's from Medical News Today website talking about raccoon eyes. So I don't think it's meatloaf. I can see why you're confused. Yeah, so the raccoon eyes goes underneath the eye. You can see some of the eyelid there is affected, but most of it goes downwards.
And the big notice I have with this person is they don't have swelled eyelids.
Right. They haven't been punched in the face. They've had a brain injury. And you can also see up on their forehead where the pressure of the swelling of the brain has bruised the outside of the skin as well. So, and I've seen this a few times too. Like, I've seen both, and I'm not even an EMT. Don't ask me how I get into these situations.
Wow, you're very intelligent. I've seen into a lot of your stuff. I'm like, I don't know how you know all the stuff you know. This is crazy.
Well, I have raised 2 children and got 3 grandchildren, and any type of accident you can freaking name, we've been through it.
I mean, it's a bit different. Like when it comes to the technical side of like everything that you're analyzing, I'm like, what is? I go to watch a normal boring video, and I'm like, what the hell is she? What is she taking me through right now? I can't follow all this.
Generally, it's a mix of everybody's input. It's not always just me by myself. The tech side of the medical, I don't know anything about that. I just look it up and I read medical journals just to see what they say and what they experiment on and how they set up their experiments.
Yeah.
So I studied chemistry at high school and always had a love for anything experiments. So that's where that side of it comes from. I guess I've already got that technical understanding because of the physics side of things. But generally, yeah, I'm just researching. Most of it's just coming from research, and my brain never stops. So it's
Yeah.
just push more shit in there.
I know that feeling.
I have a push pop brain. If I'm pushing shit in, I got to push shit out. So I forget simple things like names, but I can tell you how a head gets broken.
Yeah. Funny, I just seen a comment, broken nose would show eyes like that. I've dealt with a couple of broken noses before. I've actually had a serious broken nose, and I never had black eyes because of it.
Yeah, right. I
I've
had a
seen some people have, but I never did.
I had a good hit to the face and broke my nose, and I
Yeah.
didn't get black eyes, but I definitely got bruises on either side of my nose.
Yeah.
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 So
The worst thing that happened to me is I had swelling in my throat, and it was hard to breathe. But yeah, that was a bit. I mean, I've broken my jaw before in 2 places. I've broken my
ow,
arm.
that
Yeah,
can't be good.
the jaw sucked.
I'm sure it did, because then
Yeah.
you gotta have it wired up and eat everything through a straw for a bit, don't you?
And I mean, it just goes to show, like, people are like, why would anyone drunk or Irish guys just get into a fight? It's like, you want to know the story of how I broke my jaw? I was with a best friend of mine. We were drinking, got into an argument over an ex-girlfriend of mine. We got into a fight. Kind of, he didn't really do any damage, and I felt bad about it. And afterwards, having a laugh, I was like, I'll give you one free swing. Come on. And he broke my
Yeah.
jaw.
One Sole says, "My medic brother in another land." Hey guys, one, are you ready to jump up? Do you have time? Because I can put you both up here together. Because we are keen as to hear about this pig's head experiment, like on the edge of our seats, keen as. Colin says, Arcane, if you had responded to a 34 Fairview with a dying cop on the lawn, a cop whose house was dark and lifeless, would you be fearing for, I think, their safety or your safety? Anyone's safety.
Personally, I wouldn't be fearing for my safety. That's the least of my problems. A boring, dark house. I was sort of trained to have to go in combat and help people. So something like that, it doesn't make sense why you would be fearing for your safety. If I was going there as a first responder, I think
Would
I
you have thought about their safety in the house because someone's already out cold on the front lawn?
if I knew that they were an officer as well. Look, I think I would have personally. I would have knocked on the door anyway. Like if I had other people responding and then they were able to take care of the body and do life-saving measures, I would personally go knock on the door and say, what happened here? Do you know anything? Because I'd like to know.
Yeah,
I wouldn't think they're in danger personally. That's just me.
because they're cops, because they're trained.
Yeah, I mean, it just wouldn't be my first thought anyway that someone else is in danger. But that's just me.
I wonder why Jen didn't think that, because it's her sister that was inside.
Especially being family. It just doesn't make sense why you wouldn't run in knowing that he can help. You'd want to ask questions anyway, right?
Right. Still waiting on your pipe repair. I just got all my pipes repaired, so I know exactly what you mean. He's getting his car fixed at the moment, so
Oh, I've got to get one of my cars fixed at the moment as well. It's just broken down.
yeah, I just had
Ford.
car repairs all weeks, which is why I kept booking a vent stream and then couldn't come because I was like, nope, you got to be here earlier to get the mechanic in early. You know how they are in Australia.
Yeah.
The earlier you get there, the sooner you get it all done. So
Where I live in a pretty small town, so the mechanics here are pretty good. You can get it in like sort of same day if you need to.
lucky you. I'm flat out getting 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in a really good sort of small town. It gets very boring, but the people are really good.
When the floods came through here, they wiped out like all of the low-lying areas of town were 2 stories under, and it wiped out all our mechanic shops, and like everyone got wiped out. And very few have come back online since then. Most of them
Yeah.
are bankrupt. So we got the slim pickings here.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, COVID made everything hard for everyone already. So on top of that,
oh, it's the city methane gas pipe. Oh, it's not his car. I gotcha. So is it a real emergency? Emergency. Gotcha. Where in Oz is Arcane from? You don't have to be too specific, but you can just give a state if you want.
yeah, I'm near Bendigo in Victoria.
There you go. Well, that is very small towns all through that area.
Yes, I'm in a town of about 2,500 people.
Right, about the same size as Canton, actually.
Yeah, but these people are very trustworthy.
Right. These people are not corrupt.
Yeah, it blows me away. Like, I genuinely sit here and I wonder if some people over there think that there's a random Australian guy in the
Mm,
bush that's just thinking, I feel genuinely bad for what you guys have to put up with. This is crazy. Like, a lot of people are like, I can understand the whole free Karen Reid, and I'm with that. But I genuinely feel bad for John. I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to be an officer working with these other officers, and
and
then
then
they
they
just
keep
treated
it
you like that. They
Mm-hmm,
treated you like this.
mm-hmm. I get it too.
And then the more
Oh,
heartbreaking
I
you're
still
seeing
got
his
it
family
wrong.
supporting them.
I still got it wrong. It's his house sewer. No hot water. We have to be out of the house while they pressure test it.
Holy shit.
You got shit going on too, Lon. There you go. Yeah, I don't understand why they would treat another officer this way, other than
They must have had disdain for him.
they must have. Why else would you beat him? But
But even if you didn't, even if, let's just say for argument's sake, Karen did do this, how could you still treat the investigation like this?
either
Doesn't
way, right? Either way, it
totally.
was so bad. You're right. You're right. A lot of people say that on X too, that, the family should be disgusted that this is the type of investigation that they put towards their
Yeah,
son.
I mean, look at Buchanan on the stand, still doing everything he can to stand up for his buddy, whether it's just I'm being a good cop looking out for another cop or he's got dirt on me. But either way, it looks like you're doing everything you can to protect this other dirty cop. I didn't see these measures for the one that was on the ground dead. This is crazy.
Yeah. So, right now he's testifying in another trial. I don't know if you knew this. The was it Walsh? I forget his name. Something Walsh trial. Buchanan's on the stand testifying in the Walsh trial. The defense want to keep them all off the stand because of what's going on over here in this trial.
Is that the one who murdered his wife?
Yeah, he
Yeah, okay. How stupid is he?
right. And his Google searches, for example, are part of what incriminates him. And
Yeah.
now we've got, Celebrate over here saying, oh, well, the Google searches might not be as accurate as you think they are. And it's like, fucking shut up. What are you doing? Because
Yeah.
now Walsh wants to use that in his trial, that, the Google searches aren't as accurate.
Yeah, it's
Although,
crazy how science can work when they want it to and not when they don't want it to.
yeah, exactly. So, and the same thing with Burgess, like, as stupid as he was for lying on his CV, none of his data makes any freaking sense at all. How do you time drift calculate from 7 different devices? Like,
He lost me. All I know is that if I was a juror, I didn't even want to listen to anything he had to say.
at which point did he lose you? At the I lied on my resume, or
Well,
when
it was even before that. Yeah, I think it was at some point he was discussing when they brought up. I think he brought up the graph, what you'd call his graph. At the same time, I was scrolling X, and I just seen like a lot of people laughing. Like, is this their expert? And I was like, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Like, is this? If I was a juror, I'd be like, what? This doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. And then when the defense comes on and shuts him down over his resume.
It's bad. It's pretty bad. Welcome to Unintended Consequences Celebrate. Exactly, Lon. Good,
Do you
great.
think? Do you think Hank had to know about him lying on his resume?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that they're vetting anyone. They're just like desperate.
Yeah.
Because the reason I can tell they're desperate is because the MIT is in freaking Boston, right? The two of the best colleges in the world are based in Boston. So why can't they get better experts? Like actually qualified experts? What's the
Well, I
freaking
mean,
deal here?
they could have had Arca,
Well, they could have had Arca, exactly. Bring
and
on
they
the
still,
Arca.
yeah.
Crazy
It's
shit.
yeah.
All right. So is there any other medical pictures you wanted to go through? Like
Not really. No, I mean, I've seen everything so much now that nothing could really make me change my opinion.
yeah.
It's
What about the boxer's fracture and the dog bite?
boxer's fracture. Yeah, that's
A boxer's fracture.
yeah. I mean, that's
Put simply, right?
nearly every time I hit a bag too hard now in training, it'll come up for me. Like not even the fracture, but bruising will come up.
And similar type of bruising.
Yeah, yeah. I'll get a lot of bruising in here as well, a lot of blood for no reason. Um, the marks on his arm, I don't know how anyone can't say, especially that there was a dog in there, that they can't dismiss a dog. I'm not going to go as far as to say 100% it was the dog, but there's all the evidence sort of shows enough for me that it shows that he was bitten by the dog. And
Have
he was either bitten trying to pull away.
Yeah.
He
Have
was
you ever attended anything where there's been a dog bite involved?
Yeah, but it wasn't on the job.
Right.
It was a neighbor that lived nearby at the time that was getting attacked by 2 German shepherds.
Wow, two.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and how'd they shape up?
They had similar marks to John.
I think anyone who has seen a German Shepherd bite or a large dog bite, anyone who has seen it recognizes it straight away. And
Yeah,
especially people who have actually been bitten themselves
yeah.
will recognize it straight away.
A lot of people assume with dog bites that they're just going to bite and hold, but no, they bite and rip. So it's not uncommon to see them biting and then rip away, or other people are generally going to rip their arm away. Like most trained dogs, like German Shepherds in the army or the police force and stuff like that, they're trained to go onto the arm. So I'm guessing that's the first thing that Chloe's done. And the first thing most people do reactively is pull their arm away.
Someone suggested, which I thought was an interesting suggestion, that because Albert was ex-cop and ex-detective in gang unit, that he was training that dog to be his guard dog.
For sure. Why else would you have that dog? You'd
Right.
have like a Bichon Frichet, right? Like
It's why we got one, because that thing that happened out in the shed, we went and got a dog after that, and we got a German Shepherd, so-
yeah, I wanted to get a dog to make sure my family's okay when I'm not around. So we have a pit bull, and it's a pit bull for that very reason. We didn't get a Jack Russell,
Right, because they're just
and
they're very cute, but
yeah,
I'm sorry for the Jack Russell, but they're not a guard dog.
no, they'll let you know someone's there, but
They'll let you know everything's fucking there.
and he would know, being a detective, that the German Shepherds have the strongest bite out of like pound for pound. This is why they're used.
Right. Kevy says you get a dog to match the energy in the house. Snicker, snicker.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I see that a lot. You know,
All right,
people.
I got to
dogs
bring
make-
him up. He's yakking away in the private chat. Let me bring him up so he can actually talk with us instead of writing his comments. You're on, Kevy. Ask him anything.
Good evening. How are you, Arkin?
Good, mate. How you going?
Good. I was happy. Taping away my little snacky comments.
There you go. He's stoked to find out it's morphine in the green whistle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the technical name is prophylactic or something. I can't. It's PRO something, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
Prophylactic or something.
It's not propofol. It's not propofol.
No, it's not propofol. I
Right.
should be able to
We're
Google.
all thinking of pro words and we can't come up with the right one.
I used to watch Bondi Rescue, and the green whistle was always featured on it. And you'd see
Penthrox. Penthrox.
Panthrox. Okay.
That's what it is. There you go. Colin, do you think it was? Do you think getting a Yorkie to guard me was a mistake?
I mean, the
Okay.
Queen liked him.
The
Chihuahua, the best guard dog on the planet.
Actually, I'll agree with that. I've been bitten by a few chihuahuas. One of my aunts has like a house full of chihuahuas, and every time I go there, I get bitten. So,
Well, I was making fun of the Jack Russell, but the Jack Russells and Chihuahuas are the ones that I'm mostly like, okay, this one's probably going to bite.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Usually little dogs, their bark is usually worse than their bite, but they
Yeah.
bark a lot.
Yeah,
Right.
I happen to have another 16 greyhounds as well out there. So
You
a
do?
lot of barking. Yeah.
Whoa.
Good. My dad used to have kids.
Yeah, they're crazy.
My sister has 2 rescues there at the minute.
Do you race them?
No, so we on the farm that I live on, it was a former greyhound property. So we just rent out a lot of the property to other people who own the dogs, and they race them and stuff like that. We just sort of look after them and board them.
Yeah, right. Boarding kennels or whatever they call
Yeah.
them. Nice. There you go. See, I wouldn't like to be bitten by a greyhound either.
Oh, they're so gentle.
They are. But if you had one bite you, it wouldn't be a gentle bite.
Yeah.
Because they have
Well,
such a
to
big
be
mouth.
fair, most dogs, apart from the ones that are trained, their bite is usually only a defense, or it's to warn you or scare you off. They'll snap at you.
A
Yeah.
shepherd
They might
bite
catch you.
force
They-
is like 275 pounds per inch. Yowza. That's hectic. So what do they train the dogs to do in the army, Arcane?
It depends what they want to use them for. They can use them all the way from just sniffing dogs, takedown dogs, or something a lot more tactical for special forces, going in with cameras, breaching. When they don't really want to go in because they think someone might be wearing a vest or something like that, they'll send a dog in.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard dogs used for some pretty messed up reasons, but yeah, they're used for various different things.
Right. I have to agree with Nikki here. Gooses, they are vicious as. One of my friends got attacked by a goose one day. I pulled up at her friend. She's like, drop me at my mate's house. I just got to run in and drop something off. So I pulled out on the driveway and she swung the door open. She's no sooner outside the car and this goose is fucking at her and it's chased her all the way up the road. And I'm like, come back. I ended up driving up beside her and while she's running along with the goose on her tail, she's like jumping in the car. That type of thing was not going to give up, man. It was like, it was going to have her, right or wrong. It was pretty funny, but I agree. Geese are vicious.
Yeah, they got no quit.
Yeah. What do they call that bird that's nuts in Australia? Is it the Aussie magpie?
Yeah, the magpie.
Magpie,
They're all
yeah.
terrified of.
Yeah, they're a bit of a horror. I actually got knocked out by a magpie once. I
Oof.
thought I had walked into a cricket match. That I felt that bash on my head.
Where I grew up, we had plovers.
Oh yeah, plovers are fun, especially if you go near a nest. But they're a different type of attack, aren't they? They're on the ground at you.
Well, they'll swoop you, and they have little blades on them.
Blades on their like a rooster, hey?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where, but
It is like a rooster.
yeah, they
Is
get.
the cassowary an Australian bird?
Yes. Well, it's a tropical bird. So Australia and I think like Indonesia and all the tropical areas have cassowaries, but very far north of Australia is the cassowary, and they'll
where
they'll
I'm
blink you with their little bone on their head. And they'll kick you too.
Yeah,
They can
we
be
haven't got
vicious.
them where I'm at. It's
Way too far south.
yeah.
I hear the emus. I hear the emus are pretty tough too. Didn't they go to war with the Australian Army twice and the Army lost?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have.
You wake
They're
up
not fake
every morning
stories.
and choose violence. They do. So do magpies, for fuck's sake. Magpies are
Yeah.
awful.
Emus do not fuck around.
Are there any non-lethal animals in Australia, Aussie? we have a few harmless ones, but
It's funny.
yeah,
I seem to at the moment have like a kangaroo retreat. There was one kangaroo that sort of seemed to get kicked out of his pack, and he just sort of made his home here, became friends with me, and I can pat him and everything like that. And
Nice.
there's been another 3 since yesterday. We had a young Joey, probably about 4 or 5 months, rock up, looking real skinny. And I was like, why do they just keep coming here? I don't know why they keep coming here. So
Because
now
you're
we've been
looking
feeding
after
him and stuff like that.
they come where the food is. They know where the food is. They sense
Yeah,
it.
I think so. They know. Like,
Yeah. I remember my friend woke up with one in her fridge, like practically digging through her fridge, worked out how to open it and got
yeah,
into
I've woken up one night and I haven't shut the back door properly when it was summer. And one of the kangaroos opened the door, came through the hallway and woke me up. And I was like, someone's in the fucking house. And I realized it was the kangaroo. And I don't know how much you know about kangaroos, but they can't really turn around in small areas. They can't jump backwards. So I had to pick this big guy up and turn him around and get him out the door.
Oh God, that's scary.
Yeah, luckily he's very friendly.
God. Yeah, I don't think I've had any face offs with kangaroos myself because I just know not to go near them. When my son was little, we used to go to this little like petting zoo where you could pet the kangaroos. They were just little wallabies.
Yeah.
But he was only a little fella at the time. He was only like 5, and he walked up with a seed. And the kangaroo's like, oh, yeah, I'll have that seed. And he's trying to stop the kangaroo from getting the seed. So it's like just grabbed him around the head. It's like hanging on.
Yeah.
I freaked out. I was like, oh, my God, this kangaroo's going to kick the shit out of my baby. But, yeah, fun stuff. And then out on my dad's property just down south here, his dog was just stupid with the kangaroos. Like, I would hear them fighting each other, the kangaroos. You can hear them.
Yeah, they growl as well.
Yeah, and when they thump each other, it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but you can hear that thud going through their whole body and vibrating the ground almost. You can hear them fighting.
Yeah, they're ridiculously strong when they want to be.
So the stupid dogs decided I am going to go after the kangaroo, and the kangaroos grabbed him around his head and then pummeled him with its feet and peeled his skin off. Like he literally had to be sewn back into his skin.
Yeah, I've seen a few hunting dogs that have just randomly gone after kangaroos, and sometimes they get the worst, the worst of it.
Peeled out of their jackets.
Yeah.
That's why I love Ireland. The only thing here trying to kill you is the public health service.
Right. Australian breakdancers are pretty harmless.
Oh God! Oh God!
Very good, lad.
Yeah, that poor girl's never going to live it down. I'm sure there was something creative in it. She's never going to live it down.
Didn't she shut down some play or something they were doing for charity?
Yeah, there was a comedy show that was going to get put on, and she shut it down. And then tried to say like, "Oh, I wasn't going to try to pressure her or sue her," and then the comedian come out with like the receipts.
Yeah, screwed it.
Yes, I remember seeing it at the time.
Yeah, the nerve. Just take the L, man. You made us look like fools.
We will never live it down, Michelle.
I personally know better breakdancers. I personally know better breakdancers.
So do I.
I don't know if you ever remember Eddie Eagle from the Olympics many years ago. He was a UK skier that entered the Winter Olympics, and he was absolutely useless. But he became the superstar and the celebrity of those Winter Olympics. He made a lifelong career out of it, doing public appearances and TV appearances, and
Thanks, Dave's channel. For those who don't know, I had a rage quit from Tommy's stream today. Well, it wasn't a rage quit. I was just copping shit from the chat. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. Bye. And turn it all up.
Well,
It
who's
was-
giving you shit? I've seen nothing but appreciation for you. I've loved it. I've watched, like, I didn't really see much of your stuff in the first trial. I only sort of came around it from the second trial, before the second trial.
Yeah.
And I just will be watching a random channel and I see people in the comments like, have you seen Ozzy's video? Have you seen Ozzy's video? I'm like, this is crazy, man.
I have a few people that I have if they're in my comments and they just want to freaking argue all day every day, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I never see people bad mouthing you. I always see people like, just nothing but compliments.
Right. So
I'm
I've
sure
had
there's
a
the
couple of these.
AFKR people.
I've had a few of these people who just want to argue, and I'll tell them like, "Can we just stop now?" And then they'll start on another thread, argue. So one of them, a few of them, I've just blocked them. I've let them go for quite some time, and then I've blocked them. So one of them's got a bee in a bonnet because I blocked her from my channel. She's over in Tommy's channel, like badmouth and like, just shut up, Ozzy. Nobody wants to listen to you, Ozzy. Like, just insulting me and stuff.
You don't
And
have to.
if you're on my channel, if you're a guest on my channel, and anyone badmouths you, either me or the mods are going to boot you. We'll give you one warning, and then we'll boot you if you keep going.
It's pretty
Absolutely.
like if you can't be on the internet without taking some form of criticism, then get off the internet.
Right. Exactly. And the criticism was just shut the fuck up and go somewhere else. Like, I'm
Yeah,
arguing with you. But that's basically what that was about. I was on Tommy's stream. We're trying to do the fair use thing where you're commentary every now and again, so that the big channels that you're stealing the streams from can't freaking copyright strike you, which they do, believe it or not, they do, unless you add that commentary. And people are like, stop with the commentary, Ozzy, shut up. It's like, how about you just fuck off and go watch the stream yourself where there is no commentary? Like, hello. But I wasn't rude to anyone. I was just saying, commentary is necessary for fair use. That's all I was saying. And it's like,
I mean, what do you come here for if you're just wanting to listen to the trial only? Just go watch the trial only.
Those comments had nothing to do with your commentary, because Mike and Tommy talk over the coverage all the time.
exactly. And they weren't bitching at them.
More about you. Yeah, it was more about you.
Yeah. So in the end, I was like, well, you know what? If the mods aren't going to put it under control, I'm leaving. So that sorts it all out. Then they can't be stirring up shit in Tommy's chat. Problem solved. Move along. So that's what that was about, Dave's channel, just so that you know. I think he was there watching, or he might have just tuned in when I rage quit.
Yeah,
it's crazy how much support. I don't know why it's just popped into my head, but it's crazy how much support around the world Karen Reid's been getting. I think it's good.
Yeah,
it's colossal. It's colossal this time around. It's noticeably much.
You don't see people around the world like
and
collectively.
it's not because of her as a person. It's because of the case. It's because of what they did to John O'Keefe.
Yeah, I mean, personally, the more and more I see Karen Reid, I'm like, man, she's a bitch. That's just my own personal opinion. I just think she looks like a bitch, but I don't think she did it. It's my opinion of her means nothing when it comes to the facts.
Part of the reason she doesn't take the stand, I'd say. They know the jury's not going to like her.
And it has nothing to do with like calling John and saying you're a piece of shit and I think you're cheating. That's just normal shit. Like the amount of times I've had those phone calls given to me. That's nothing to hate a person over. But personally, I wouldn't hang out with her. But I would stand beside her and say she shouldn't be treated like this all day of the week.
Right. It's I have less sympathy for her as a person and more for the Commonwealth that they claim to represent. You know, they
Yeah.
claim to be representing the people. And this is what's happening to the people. It's not just happening to Karen Reid, it's happened to other people as well, because they're just running amok and they're getting away with it.
Yeah, and I see a lot of the people that are just like, Karen did it, who cares? Karen did it. And a lot of the anti-Karen Reid people, I think we all know who they are at this point. But it's just like, what? This is your community too. This could have happened to you. What if it was you in that seat? You know, and someone said this about you. It's like,
That's
fuck.
right. That's right. I mean, we do have similar stuff going on here, and I'm sure Arcane's familiar with some of the shit that goes on here, where the government just like completely overpowers somebody, and because that's it, they just want revenge. One example I think is a good one to draw on is Friendly Geordie. You know,
Yeah.
he's in Aiden's situation right now, where he reported on a corrupt politician, and then that politician just pulled out all the big guns and even sent the SWAT team into his house, kind of
And his house suddenly gets burnt down.
our version of SWAT or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just because he's reporting on all of the corruption. And
Didn't they burn his house out twice?
speak it English. Slow down, Kevin. I didn't understand you, sorry.
Friendly Geordies, didn't they burn his house down twice?
Yeah.
Yeah, Friendly
He's
Geordie.
been taken savage. I'm a fan of Friendly Geordies. I've been watching them for long, even before I met you, Ozzy.
Right.
I
So
think he's very good.
it got to the point where they even tried to burn his house down. Well, they actually did.
Well, they did. Yeah. Yeah,
They
they
did
did.
burn his house down. He just happened to be not there for some unknown reason. At the last minute, he switched plans and he wasn't there. But it was the second time they tried to do it, wasn't it?
I'm not sure how many times, but yeah, I know they did.
They succeeded. They succeeded one time, I think, or they caused significant damage. He had to move out.
Yeah. So the first time it was all caught before it got out of control. But then the second time, it was a last minute change of plans. He wasn't home and it did burn to the ground. So, yes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, this is what happens when you fight corruption. You know, Tracy did a great documentary there yesterday. I dropped one about the Ellis case in Boston. What was it, 30-odd years ago? And the
Yeah.
similarities with the Karen Reid case today. And it shows you just what happens when you try and stand up against the corruption, how they can band together and how they can make your life a living hell, destroy it.
Yep.
Mm.
You know.
Yep. When the government doesn't want you around, they don't fucking want you around. And it's not just restricted to Massachusetts. It's definitely happening here in Australia. And many
Yeah,
other countries.
I've seen both sides of it. I've seen both sides of the spectrum, the good and the bad, from the government and the police. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy how on one side I can work with him and you see this absolutely amazing side of him, and then the other side of it is if they don't see you in uniform, how they'll treat you.
Yeah.
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 It's
Exactly.
it's absolutely crazy. I got into a fight here years ago in the city. It was a stupid thing with a friend and another group of people at a bar. Got into a fight, ended up becoming a group thing. Then charges come out, and then they say that a screwdriver was used, and someone got stabbed. And no, I didn't even know this even happened, but apparently it was me. And
Oh, wow.
they brought in a screwdriver and everything that I didn't use. I don't even know why they thought I had a screwdriver in a bar. And the case ended up getting dismissed. It didn't have. I sort of, I was telling my lawyer, I'm like, I never use this. Look at the footage, look at everything, get it tested for DNA, because I didn't fucking use this thing.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
ended up getting dismissed. So
Yeah. So, something similar happened to my son up in Mackay. He was just had a car accident. It was just a stupid thing. He's gone around the corner. His phone flew off the dash, and he went to grab it, yanked on the steering wheel, and drove up over this. It's like a gutter with a garden on the other side, but there was a preschool on the other side of that. But he drove up into that garden, and then some cop said he was following him, saw him doing fishtails, and drifting and all this. I mean, it's a four-wheel drive. You can't fucking drift in a four-wheel drive. But anyway,
Yeah.
it went on and on and on for years and years and years, and they made up all these freaking stories. And when it finally got to the right judge, he was just like, "This is bullshit. What are you doing?" And he
Yeah.
dismissed it. So, but it put him through hell. Like, he was traumatized by the cops up there
Yeah.
at the age of 18. So, yeah, it was bullshit.
Yeah.
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 Qualified immunity is a thing that needs to be removed as well. Every case should be fought on its own merits. You know,
I didn't
cops are
understand.
concerned.
Can you switch your mics out? Because I can't understand you.
Okay, we'll have it.
I don't know that it's you're speaking with too strong an accent today, or you've just on the wrong mic. and then say it again. What you were saying. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound rude then, but he's kind
No,
of.
no. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's way better. Now I can understand ya.
Okay. I was talking about qualified immunity in the States. It's a shocking thing.
Yeah.
It gives the cops unbridled power, and every case of corruption or any charge against a cop should be fought on its own merits in a court, not on precedent. And
Yeah.
if the precedent doesn't exist, you can't challenge them. That's bullshit.
Yeah. I mean,
And you'd see a very, very different police force and very different form of policing if that were the case. I think.
Exactly. Yep. Well, we have qualified immunity here. It's kind of, I guess it works a little bit differently the way it does in the States, but they still have it, don't they? Okay.
I don't know to the extent with the police. Like for example, there was that guy recently who tased that old lady, and she
Well, actually,
died.
they've actually been flipping it lately, haven't they? Because there was also that dude that went on trial, that cop that went on trial up in the Northern Territory that shot a Indigenous lad. I can't even remember the name of the guy.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
It
But yeah,
has
this
been one
guy.
of the
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this
sales.
one. He was just a young copper. Got called to a nursing home because this 93 or 97-year-old woman her dementia was acting up, and she was holding a knife. And he's gone in and he's like, drop the knife, drop the knife. She didn't drop it. And he's like, oh, screw this, and just tased her. She dropped to the floor, hit her head, and died. And they were just going to be like, we'll let it go. But because of all the public, outcry about it, they ended up charging him, and he basically got off on it. And now they're charging him again or something. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but they're trying to get him actually locked up.
I did see the news on it recently, but I'm not sure that they reversed anything yet.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure there is a huge outcry about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous what he did. The lady was no harm to anyone. She was literally in a walking frame, like.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was scared for his safety.
Right. Well, there you go. There's a lot going on. What's the state of qualified immunity in Ireland at the moment, Kev?
I'll be honest with you, it's never really been an issue here. The cops are unarmed here. They don't even have tasers. So, and they have a tendency to approach things and try and calm them down rather than exacerbate them. Now, I've seen on the other side, I have seen cops kick the crap out of people, but usually they do deserve it. They're fighting back, and the cops go, "Not tonight, sunshine."
Yeah, sometimes that kind of needs to happen, I think.
Yeah, it does.
Do you
I think
think
it'd be a lot easier just to walk away after that.
Yeah. Do you think that disarming them made them approach things more passively because they're not armed now?
For sure.
The Irish cops.
Yeah.
Well, the Irish cops were never armed, and the same with the UK. The UK cops have only recently been issued with tasers. They do have special armed response units again, but nothing like SWAT teams or anything. It's basically a car with 4 guys and with automatic rifles.
Yeah.
Or the ERU, as they call them, the Emergency Response Unit. But it's a different type of policing, and it's proper policing by consent.
Yeah, it does put
that
good
makes
cops
sense.
in danger, Colin. You're right. It does.
But But it's not an issue here. We don't have the violence and the assaults against cops here in Ireland or the UK that anywhere near what they do in the US. Violence is a whole other stratosphere in America compared to over here.
Yeah, same here in Australia, actually. I mean, it can get hectic in some areas. But some of the violence in like Northern Territory, Alice Springs,
Yeah.
out in the outback kind of towns, it can get pretty rough, I guess.
Yeah. It's like, look, there's bad cops everywhere. That we have them here, and there was a massive national inquiry here back about 20 plus years ago, due to Garda corruption, using their power and abusing their power with people.
Yeah.
The inquiry took about 7 or 8 years, but it was needed to be done. They went through every aspect of the Gardaí, and they set up basically a Garda ombudsman, GSOC it's called. It's an outside body made up of independent members. There's police there from other states. There's lawyers. There's accountants. There's politicians. There's local community leaders.
Wow, wouldn't it be
And
good
it
if our
works.
inquiries were like that, Arcane?
No, no, right? Ours take fucking years. If
And
they
then-
even
And they're
Well, they
never
take years.
independent. They're not independent.
mind-
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't mind them taking years. It's the result you're after. Yes,
Right.
we'd all like it to happen quicker, but if you get the good result and the end result that you want, then brilliant. What used to happen years ago is they'd hold an inquiry, come out with a result or a report after a year, basically whitewashing everything. Like Canton.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much what happens with our inquiries. Like they'll have it to shut the crowd up, and then it'll be just a bunch of politicians sitting around taking advice from the people who are actually committing the crimes, and then going, "All right, we're done now. Everybody go home."
and then 4 years later they're at an ICAC committee.
Yeah, doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But if there was more independence, like Kevin was just saying, I think it would be a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a big public inquiry going on in the UK at the moment. Some of the English or the UK contributors here in the chat might speak up. It's into the postmasters. There was a massive scandal going back a number of years ago. There's been a movie made about it where they brought in
Yep.
they brought in an automatic system, a computer system that was faulty. This would be right up your street, actually, Ozzy. The software was terrible, and it was telling the postmasters of the post offices that their books were out at the end of every day. And every time they tried to redo the books, it would double the error. And they ended up prosecuting and jailing a lot of the postmasters for embezzlement. And it's transpired that both the post office and the company with the software knew what was going on. But rather than admit they were wrong, they doubled down. And it's a massive, massive case now. And there's a huge public inquiry, which you can watch live if you want to.
I actually do remember the movie, I think, that you're talking about. Or was it a documentary? Hang on, question for Arcane. Have you ever seen someone with Knuckles' collar displayed in that picture with his two friends? Did that appear to be from a fist fight?
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. I shouldn't just base it off the type of person he seems to be, but that's a fight. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. Even if you've been hitting a bag, you can get those marks. It looks like a fight to me. And another thing with that Colin Kidd, the one thing that sticks out to me is I think they had like a dress-up party not long after this whole thing happened, and he dressed up in a jail uniform, like an Orange County jail uniform, with a teardrop.
Yeah.
Fake
That's
tattoo.
right.
And it's like, what are you doing here, man? It looks like you're trying to send out a bit of symbolism here.
Yeah, exactly.
For someone who's so innocent.
Exactly.
Personally, I don't even know if he had anything to do with it, but it looks like he's been punching people. He didn't scrape his hands on the ice.
No, I'm pretty sure people don't fall and catch themselves with their knuckles.
No,
That'd be
they
the
do
weird
not.
part. Yeah.
Oh, we have a bot command for that. What was it again?
Knuckle dragger. If you type colon in, it says knuckle dragger. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, so
But yeah, the amount of times I've had those marks and injuries on my fists just from training or, actually fighting.
Yeah, they're definitely from fighting. It's not from falling on the ground. Trust me, I have fallen so many different ways, angles, shapes, sizes. I've never once put my hand down in that manner
right.
to stop myself.
I mean,
Right.
unless you walk around like a gorilla and keep your fist down, like
But even at
Like
that,
a knuckle dragger.
even at that, if you were a gorilla, you're still not going to have the backs of your hands.
yeah,
It's your knuckles you're up on.
it's
You know?
ridiculous. And just how hard like they work to get this kid out of this trial, like for his name not to be mentioned, they're not going to bring him up or anything now. It's a little bit suspicious. But personally,
Tracy-
I don't even think he was really involved in it. A lot of people do think he was the one that killed John. Personally, I've always thought it leaned towards Brian and the two Brians.
Yeah.
I think so too. It's hard to know what happened because that whole Microdot video that highlighted as they were leaving the waterfall really
Yeah.
puts Brian Higgins in the frame.
It
And
looks
Chris
like
Albert.
to me, if I was just speculating, it looks like Brian was a bit pissed off at what's going on. He's texted Karen, no reply, and he said to the other Brian, "Can you fucking believe this shit? You know she's been talking to me and she's dealing with this as well, like blah blah blah." And then at some point after a few whiskeys, he's like, "You know what? I'm just gonna tell John. Like, do you know your fucking girlfriend's been texting me?" And then he's probably like, "What the fuck are you even texting my girlfriend? A fight."
Yeah. I've seen it 100 times. I used to do doors.
Yeah.
I grew up in a pub.
And people that are like, "Oh, that's not going to happen." It's like, do you know guys?
Yeah.
Do you know Irish guys that drink? I'm Irish. It's like, do you know? Yeah.
Right. So Dave says, thank you for talking about the qualified immunity. In the US, there are courts that allow cops to get away with crimes by qualified immunity. It's a nightmare. Indeed it is.
Yeah, there's a great organization there called the Institute for Justice. I'm sub to their channel. I believe I could be wrong now, but I believe they have a number of cases heading for the Supreme Court about just on that subject of qualified immunity.
Trying to rein in a little bit. Well, this is what I'm saying. It's been happening in Australia because probably for about the last, I think it might have actually been since like the George Floyd sort of thing happened. It all started doing a 360 here in Australia. It was always very hard to bring charges against cops and have anybody take you seriously, but we've done a little bit of a 360 since then.
Oh, there was a lady that had to shoot I think he was a Somalian kid. I could be wrong. He had a knife charging the cops, and she's had to shoot him. And now they're saying like Black Lives Matter. You shouldn't have shot this kid. Why would she do this? It's like, dude, he was charging them with a knife.
Right.
You know, and this lady was like, "I'm traumatized. It's the first time I've ever had to pull the trigger. I wish I didn't have to."
Yeah.
And for some reason, that's evil.
Yeah. The problem with social media is it can be blown out of proportion in a very biased direction very quickly, which very often tends to happen. And there's always more nuance to what's going on. I like the civil rights lawyer. I think he breaks it down very well. He exposes the cover up, but he talks about it very matter of fact. You know, he won't talk without receipts. He won't talk without camera footage. He's not making assumptions.
Is he covering the Karen Reid trial?
He's not, which I genuinely can't understand why he's not. Maybe it's because he's in a different state. I think it's North Carolina he's in. Somebody may correct me on that. He used to be in Florida, but he moved. But he's a massive channel. He's over 1 million subs there at the moment. But he highlights those. It's basically cops, infractions by cops, and abuses by cops.
Right. There you go. Well, let me just pop this one back on the screen. I think it's the two Brians as well, but maybe Colin got in the mix. A lot of people are agreeing maybe Higgins was losing and Brian stepped in and the dog helped. They're all plausible. What's not plausible is the SUV hit him. That's not plausible.
Yeah, well,
And the single biggest burning question out of the whole thing is Lucky Lochran seeing that Ford Edge outside the house at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because that car wasn't there earlier. It was there at 2:30 in the morning. The body was supposed to be there exactly where it was parked. How did the driver of that vehicle not see the dead body? Forget about whether they were involved or not. How did they not see a dead body parked feet
Right, where
away
the
from the
body
vehicle?
was. Yeah. And
Yeah.
also, why didn't the police even try and track down that driver and that vehicle?
Correct. Yeah, like when they approached that, and they should have doubled down on that in Cross at Buchanan. When they started talking about that, I don't know if you noticed, but Buchanan just started doing a lot of stammering and stuttering about Lochran.
Mm. I'm actually disappointed that Bruce Rivers isn't covering it, because he was gonna, but he kind of jumped off the cliff in the wrong direction when he first hit it. He went with some housewife talking, doing a screen display for her husband to try and explain the case to her husband. She had a lot of details wrong. So I'm not surprised that he's not covering. He probably got roused at by our side saying, you haven't even got the details right. I try to tell people not to do that, but they do anyway. But
yeah, I see a lot of people saying like they definitely think Colin was involved. Personally, yeah, I think Colin would have a mouth and say something to John. But I think John, being a cop, especially walking into someone's house, isn't going to just fight a kid.
Yeah,
I don't think he would have fought. John would not have fought the kid. He might have put him in a headlock to control
what
him.
I've seen a lot of, we used to have a nightclub. I use the term very loosely. It was a small nightclub. We held about 200 or 300 people. But we used to have frequent fights because we were the only nightclub in town and within 20 miles. So we got everybody. And the fights were frequent and often. But you'd always see groups of lads. There was always the tough case in the group, the hard case. He would usually be the one kind of first in. But you'd also have the little wankers, as I like to call them, who are all brave when they're standing behind somebody.
Yeah.
And as soon as the big man starts the fight, they'll jump in, coward like, and start swinging and punching, and
That's right, and that's what Colin is. He's one of those.
Yeah. That would be my impression of Colin. Yeah.
And I don't think John would have fought him. I think John. The only reason John threw a punch is because it was the two older fellas.
Yeah, and I'm not saying an argument wouldn't have started because of Colin. I'm not saying that at all. I just don't think John would have reacted by swinging punches at a kid.
Yeah.
But again, when drinks involved, anything's possible.
Yeah.
You don't know what mental state people are in at the time.
Yeah.
We're not privy to what exactly.
Initially, to me, it looked like they had a bone to pick with John, or at least Higgins had a bone to pick with John before they even got to the house. So, I mean.
Yeah. Two directions of lividity. Wait, they did? Interesting. Because we haven't heard from the defences, Emmy, but this is something I was mulling over. What is it that they're going to testify to? It could be on the ball there. It could be two directions of lividity. That could be the case. I can just pop you back off again if you like, Kevy. I'll just chuck you backstage again whilst you're AFK. Yeah, I'm not sure about any directions of lividity. The only thing I know about the lividity is what, people who are in that field. So Lon Solo and I talked about it the other night. Scott McGuinness has talked with us about it because he's worked the night shift in the morgue and stuff. And I'm not sure that you have seen that many dead bodies, have you, Arcane?
No, not many.
Yeah. Who else did we talk about? Oh, that's right. We had Nurse Lulu on. She talked about the lividity. She was the one that brought it up originally. But yeah, so we've got a couple of different perspectives. Well, the same perspectives about the lividity from different people. but nobody's picked up that there's two different directions of validity. So that will be interesting if that comes up.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear about that.
Yeah, I absolutely cannot wait till the defense puts their case on. Like, I am hanging, and
It's going to be different.
right, it's going to be so good to see them put a case on for starters.
Yeah.
Because they kind of let us all down their last trial, didn't they, with that? But
Yeah, I think they were a little bit overconfident.
yeah, same. But what I do think is everyone's going to sleep with Lally and bloody Hank Brennan. They're just boring as fucking bat's poo, man. It's
Yeah,
just
like I never thought it'd be refreshing to hear Lally talk.
right. A lot of people have been saying that. Yay, Lally's back.
And it's just, I never, yeah, initially I was like, thank God for Hank, something different. And then it took like 3 weeks and I was like, I can't listen to this guy anymore. He's a snake.
He's awful. It's like everything. You could just about skip his testimony altogether and know what he was doing anyway because of all the pre-trial bullshit.
I mean, even the first time he brought up Arca, like, oh, I don't want to get him taken away. I don't want their testimony taken away or whatever. And it's like, I know that's exactly what you're trying to do. And then the fourth motion, it's like, I'm sick and tired of people saying I'm trying to get them their testimony stricken. And it's like, that's exactly what you just ended up trying to do. Like, everyone knew it. You got mad at people.
Talking out both sides of your face, mate.
Yeah, and the judge just laps it up.
Oh my God, it's sickening. The way that she, what was the thing the other day? I was so upset. It was, it was the freaking lying on the CV thing. She's got no grave concerns about that. Like that testimony should never have come in. She's supposed to be the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
One says you get a voir dire, you get a whatever. She's done it all to the defense, but she's got this dude who hasn't even got a bachelor testifying.
Yeah, who lied to the court about his education.
And she's just not interested in a voir dire or anything. Like, oh my God, she did a mid freaking testimony voir dire the other day because Hanky asked for it.
It's a bit ridiculous. Yeah, well, it's more than a bit ridiculous at this point. Mm-hmm.
What, if anything, do you like about Lally? That it's not Hank. That's it. That it's not Hank is all it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
I laugh at Hank's redirects because he makes a case for the defense every time he does, right? Dumb as a bag of rocks.
Yeah, he walks himself into some pretty shitty situations.
Right. BA left the front door unlocked for... That's a good question because Jen just walked straight in, right? Why did he leave the door unlocked? He's a ex-gang unit cop. Why did he leave the door unlocked? And we suspect too that the dog was removed from the house around the same time that Colin and everyone left, right? Someone took the dog with him. So he's left the door unlocked and he doesn't have his guard dog there.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. All right, guys, I am going to wrap it up. We've been 2 hours now. They were inside watching. Hang on.
Probably.
Yeah, Kevy's sending me a message. It also took 5 minutes for the lights to come on in the house after Jan McCabe entered and they were inside watching. That's Kev sending me messages there.
Well, I think if something happened in there, I would definitely not be sleeping. I wouldn't be.
Yeah, none of them were
sleeping.
sleeping. Bullshit. Absolutely. All right, boys and girls, we are going to say hooray to Arcane and play some outro music, and I can go and have a sleep.
Yeah, have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming up and sharing your insights with us. We muchly appreciate it. Anytime you want to come back up, please do. We'll have you again.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining us. Bye.
No worries. Have a good one.
Okay, boys and girls, let's do some music. let's do what music will we do? We did 2 of Kevy's songs, right? Oh my god, I just closed it. Oh, you freaking idiot. I screwed myself up. Okay, back to playlists. All right, what song do we want to hear? What are we up for, guys? Any requests for the DJ? Since we're doing the vent stream, let's close out with We Are Outraged. Let's be outraged on our way out. All right. Switch screens. Let's go. All right, boys and girls, and everyone in between. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Arcane. Thanks for being in the chat, everybody else. Thanks for popping in, Lon Solo. Thanks for modding for me, guys. I forget who's here. Michelle, Kevin, I forget who else. I'm sure there's more. Thank you, everybody, and we will catch you on the next vent stream. I'm sure I didn't vent near enough today, so we've got plenty to vent about next time. Anyway, we'll catch you on the next vent stream, guys. Bye.
District attorney went off the rails. Innocent until proven guilty. Never came out of his mouth. That is outrageous. We are outraged. Before any trial has occurred, he announced the defendant's theory of the case is a desperate attempt to reassign guilt. That is outrageous. We are outraged. He provided a false notice of discovery, claiming he did not know. We now know that was a lie. That is outrageous. We are outraged. This court should be outraged. Everyone should be outraged. That is outrageous. We are outraged. District attorney went off the rails. Innocent until proven guilty. Never came out of his mouth.